David Goggins' life is not a story of comfort or easy success. It is a story of pain, struggle, and transformation. As a child, he lived in a small, poor neighborhood where violence and fear were part of everyday life. His father ran a skating rink, and young Goggins and his family were forced to work there late into the night. His father was abusive, and the home environment was filled with tension and fear. These experiences left deep emotional scars that followed him into adulthood. In school, Goggins felt like an outsider. He struggled with learning disabilities and could barely keep up with his classmates. He often cheated on tests just to pass because he believed he wasn't smart enough to succeed. Over time, this created a mindset of self-doubt and insecurity. He didn't see himself as someone who could achieve greatness. Instead, he believed he was destined for an average or even unsuccessful life. After high school, he joined the Air Force, hoping to find direction. But instead of finding purpose, he found himself stuck in a routine. He gained a lot of weight, worked long hours in a job he didn't enjoy, and felt trapped in a life with no excitement or growth. He later described this period as one of the darkest times in his life because he knew he was capable of more, but he lacked the courage to change. Everything changed the day he saw a documentary about Navy SEALs. The documentary showed the intense training, the discipline, and the mental toughness required to become one of them. For the first time in his life, Goggins felt a spark of inspiration. He saw a path that required extreme effort, and instead of being scared, he felt challenged. He decided that he would become a Navy SEAL, no matter what it took. But the reality was harsh. At the time, he weighed nearly 300 pounds and could barely run a short distance. The Navy SEAL program required strict physical standards, and he was far from meeting them. Most people would have given up right there, but Goggins chose a different path. He created a strict routine and followed it with absolute discipline. He ran for miles every day, rode a stationary bike for hours, and cut down his food intake drastically. The process was painful and exhausting, but he stayed focused on his goal. Within 3 months, he lost over 100 pounds and met the requirements to enter the SEAL training program. But getting into the program was only the beginning. The training was brutal, both physically and mentally. During the infamous Hell Week, trainees go through days of nonstop physical activity with almost no sleep. Many strong and capable men quit during this phase. Goggins faced injuries, illness, and extreme exhaustion. He failed or was forced to restart the training multiple times. Yet each time he was knocked down, he came back stronger and more determined. Eventually, after enduring more pain than most people can imagine, he completed the training and became a Navy SEAL. This achievement alone would have been enough for most people. But for Goggins, it was just the beginning of a new journey. He wanted to test the limits of his body and mind even further. He began competing in ultramarathons, races that are often 100 miles or longer. In his first race, he had almost no proper training. He entered the race simply because he needed to qualify for a charity event. During the race, his body started to break down. His feet were full of blisters, his muscles were cramping, and he even started urinating blood. Doctors told him to stop, but he refused. He finished the race through sheer mental strength, proving to himself that the mind can push the body far beyond its perceived limits. Over the years, he continued to take on extreme challenges. He ran through deserts, climbed mountains, and competed in some of the toughest endurance races on Earth. He also attempted the world record for the most pull-ups in 24 hours. His hands tore open and his body was in agony, but he kept pushing until he achieved his goal. What makes Goggins truly unique is his philosophy. He believes that most people only use a small portion of their potential. When things get uncomfortable, they quit. He teaches that real growth happens when you push yourself into discomfort. Pain, in his view, is not something to avoid. It is something to embrace because it makes you stronger. One of his famous concepts is the cookie jar. This is a mental technique where you remember all the difficult challenges you have overcome in the past. Whenever you face a new obstacle, you reach into that cookie jar of past victories and remind yourself that you are capable of more than you think. Today, David Goggins is known around the world as a symbol of mental toughness and discipline. He speaks to athletes, soldiers, and everyday people who want to improve their lives. His message is simple. Stop making excuses, face your fears, and push yourself harder than ever before. His life proves that you don't need a perfect childhood, natural talent, or lucky opportunities to succeed. All you need is the willingness to suffer, stay disciplined, and never quit. As Goggins often says, the biggest battle you will ever fight is the one inside your own mind.